Hey guys, just finished watching Arrow, Season 6, Episode 16, the Thanatos Guild. This episode was interesting, dealing with, the League of Assassins and Thanatos Guild and dealing with all that stuff in Thea. In the first part, we open up with Nissa kind of fighting the League of Assassins, or an offshoot version of it that Malcolm set up just before he died. And Thea is kind of is thinking about leaving with Roy and type thing. She's saying goodbye to everyone. There's like a party and stuff, and just as they're leaving, that's when they get attacked. And we find out that Black Siren's been hanging out, been living with, which we don't see Black Siren at all in this episode. This episode on its own kind of feels like very much of a filler episode, and that's what kind of bugs me about this episode, is that it feels like a filler episode, but yet the ending of it is really going to affect the rest of the season, since, Thea's gone from this episode, at the end of this episode, and I wish they had kind of set it up just a little bit better going into this episode, her wanting to leave and all that stuff, but the way it handled it just in this episode was an interesting thing to do. I just wish there would have been a few lines, a few teases as to her building up to kind of leaving type thing, and I don't feel like they did as much as they could. I think they did it a little bit, but they could have set this up a little bit more going into this episode, and we could have seen this coming a little bit more. I think it would have been better that way. But we find out again that Paul Blackthorne, Quentin Lance, is living with Black Siren, and she's actually a better cook than the other Laurel, that his Laurel type thing. So that was interesting there. Then we get Thea and Roy are leaving, and they get attacked by the League of Assassins, and Nissa's there to stop them and save them type thing. And then they find out that the League is after a secret treasure, which ends up being, it ends up actually being blank type thing, and it doesn't, it ends up getting activated by Thea's blood type thing. That's really cool with that. And Thea and Oliver have a certain talking and stuff, and Oliver just says that he doesn't want to give up the arrow type thing. Which that I think plays into next week's episode with the trailer there. And we find out that there are 3 more Lazarus pits, and Thea, Roy, and Nissa, 3 of them go off to destroy the 3 other Lazarus pits. So I think that's going to be cool to see that idea and see where things go with that. I think it would be something cool to set that up, and maybe, I don't know, it would be cool to see different things playing with that over on other shows. Maybe this would be a way to get her on Legends, What if Damien Dark over on Legends wants to use the Lazarus Pit to be immortal type thing? I think that would be really cool. Or what if Mullis over on Legend wants to use the Lazarus Pit to be immortal? Or DeVoe over on The Flash, what if he wants to use those Lazarus Pits to stay immortal? That would be really cool to see that, and mixing it up, and then you could have Nissa, you could have Thea, you could have Roy jumping over to different shows. But I have a feeling that, maybe Willa Holland is wanting to take a little bit of a break type thing, and that's why they're doing this, and I get that idea. But maybe like Roy Harper and Nissa Al Ghul, maybe she could, obviously leave it open to kind of, they didn't kill her off, so she's still kind of open to jumping on whatever that she wants. She could take a break like Roy did for a good season or 2, and then come back and just do little cameos here and there. I think that could be really cool to do that, building up the character again, and then eventually, after it's been a while type thing, then she could come back and hang out. So I think it could be cool to do that. Although now that there's her relationship now with Roy is kind of moving up. I almost expected him to even propose at the end of this, in this episode type thing. At the end, when Roy said he was going to go with her, I thought he was going to propose to her. I mean, Diggle could officiate it, and it could be another fast wedding. But at the same time, I think it was going to be cool to see where things go with that, because it'd be cool to see her come back to you. Like, I hate for them to never have her back, but I'd like to see, maybe she could do cameos here and there, maybe go on Legends for a couple of episodes, help do Flash things in a couple of episodes. Things like that would be really cool to play with. Especially with the Lazarus bits out there, I think that would be really cool to see different shows, how it was set up on this episode. Oh, they established it over on Arrow, and then, someone like DeVoe, who's apparently supposed to be super smart, should be aware of all this and should be able to kind of, have knowledge of this and want to use this to make himself immortal. I think that could be a cool way for him to use maybe the Lazarus Pit water to stop himself from kind of his brain from getting too smart type thing. I think that could be a cool thing to play with. So yeah, so they're going to be cool to see where things go with all this stuff, and maybe even over on Legends, as they keep on teasing Mullis eventually turning revealing himself in his true form. What if he then jumps into a Lazarus pit? What's going to happen then? I think that could be a cool thing to play with over on Legends. So it could be a way to get them to jump over on Legends. I think could be quite cool. And also seeing Sarah, Ava, and her ex Nisa would definitely be fun. Love triangle to play with for at least at one episode. It would be really cool to do that. Although I'm not mistaken, Katrina Law does have she does have another show on, if I'm not mistaken, based on her Twitter and stuff, or her Instagram. So they're going to be cool to see where things go with all this. All in all, this episode on its own, like I said, it would have been better if they kind of had set things up with this, maybe teasing things and teasing places going and stuff. And they kind of did when they brought Roy back, and that was kind of nice. I just wish that the Thea part of her kind of wanting to leave could have been set up a little bit better going into it beforehand, because like we haven't really had much of Thea so far, and I could see where they were trying to do it. They're trying to get rid of her so that they can do different stuff with her, and I'd rather them kind of just, instead of getting rid of her, just send her to another show. But I could see maybe the actress doesn't want to do that, just wants to take a break type thing from this character. And I could see that, but then I'd like to see them maybe jumping over to Legends. Still would think it would be cool to see Thea over on Legends. I think it would be a whole new, different ball game type thing for her, and it would be kind of let her experience. And on Legends, it's more of a team-like episode. And there's not really much of a kind of it's not really, it's this guy's character. It's not, Arrow is always going to be about Oliver Queen because he's he's a title character. Or Legends, they're all the title character. They're all part of the title type thing. So I think that's really a good place for her to jump over, so she can jump around like that. But I like the idea. I like the things where things could go. And I think if they do use those 3 Lazarus pit, if Thea and them are gone off to destroy them, but one of them gets brought up over on Flash, over on Legends, I think that could be really cool to see how they could play with it, especially if the villain gets a hold of some of that water. What would Damien Dark do with that? What would Mullis do with that, the current villain? Or even DeVoe over in the Flash. I think he would be the one who would be most interesting to see, especially with his limitless knowledge. How would he use that? What would he do with the Lazarus Pit? I think that could be quite cool to play with. And hopefully if they do things like that, then it would make this episode way more interesting, because it would set up these little things that were, these little plot points that are set up that this show might not have time to touch upon, and they're just using it as an excuse to get rid of Thea or to send Thea off. Maybe the Flash could use it and tug on it. I think that could be really cool to play with that, and I like those ideas. So all in all, like I said, this episode was okay. It was a good episode on its own. I just wish, like I said, it was a little bit more set up, and hopefully there's a bit more of a fallout from it, other than just the leaving type thing. I think it would be cool to see things get set up and teased and stuff, and maybe some of these these Lazarus Pit could pop up over in Legends of Tomorrow, over on the Flash. Because even if that got public, it would be cool to see a version, a time aberration or time anachronism where the Lazarus Pit becomes public knowledge and everyone knows about it, and that someone starts selling bottles of the Lazarus Pit water type thing. I think that could be a really cool thing, and they got to go back in time and unstop people from discovering that and starting to sell it and marketing it and turning it into a worldwide event type thing. I think that could be a cool thing to play with over on Legends of Tomorrow. So like I said, this episode is an interesting episode. Just hopefully I just would like to see a little bit more of a building up to this, just a little bit more, and a little bit more of kind of hinting at this and making this feel like it's earned, because it felt like it was kind of just a bit of a jump for her to go, yeah, I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna do this, type thing. Whereas at the beginning of the episode, she really went. She said, no, I don't want anything to do with with Malcolm. I don't want nothing. I want to do my own thing. And then she just kind of switched over. I feel like if they had set that up before, maybe teasing stuff or finding something somehow, and then teasing that no, but in the episodes before that, no, she doesn't want anything to do with her father. Maybe he left her something type thing. She just kind of throws it out, or just a little tease for this, so we already know her not wanting it, and then and then in this episode, you don't have her saying, no, I don't want it. You just have her kind of building up to, saying yes, okay, and then she's going to do what her father, Malcolm, wanted for her type thing. So it's going to be cool to see where things go with this, but I don't see us really kind of following her storyline, but it would be cool to see cameos in other shows. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below. Season 6, episode 16. Which episode would you like? Where would you like to see the player appear next? And who would you like to see? One of the villains over on Flash, or how would you see Mullis or DeVoe? How would you see one of them using the Lazarus Pit for themselves? So I think it could be cool to see. Hopefully we can do that. We'll have to wait and see if things pop up, but it would be a fun thing to do, because I feel like it's definitely going to be a storyline that's a plot point that's just kind of loosely waiting there, floating there, that Arrow is going to throw up. They're going to not really just going to fly there, not really going to go back and pull on it again. So I don't see them really using that, especially with it being so far from the whole main storyline from the season. So we'll wait and see what happens with this. Maybe Ricardo Diaz will end up finding one of the Lazarus Pit, and that'll kind of connect into it, making him one kind of immortal. I think that would be the fun part. But we'll have to wait and see where things go. And it looks like a fun episode for the next week's episode, especially with it being Oliver versus what's his face, John Diggle. But at the same time, I guess it's just kind of like, it feels like these two episodes are just kind of wasting time before the season final type thing, before episode 20, or before the last 3 episodes. So hopefully we can get back into it, and we can also have, since it only is a 20-second trailer, maybe that's just bits and pieces of it, but hopefully we also have some Ricardo Diaz and and some of those people, and Black Siren, all of them involved in the next week's episode, to bring it back into the season-long storyline, rather than just this kind of offshoot, pass the time storyline type thing, filler storylines they've been setting up. So this one is kind of a filler, but they do get rid of a character, so I think it's okay. Hopefully that some of the plot points don't just get forgotten about. Hopefully they get picked up somehow, whether this show or another show. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. So again, let me know what you think, guys, with this episode in the comments below. Season 6, episode 16, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes subscribing is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.